Dante's Boxing Nation, what's going on, guys? So we already have a hell of a lineup when it comes to the fights coming up this summer in July. Some of the bigger ones we have are obviously Stephen Fulton versus Naoya Inoue, Crawford versus Errol Spence, and Canelo versus Charlo. Three massive fights. And there's much more coming because you still have the return of Gervonta Tank Davis, the return of Devin Haney, and the return of Shakur Stevenson. Most likely, all three of them are going to be fighting, but I'm more interested in who Shakur Stevenson said that he wants to fight next if he can't get Devin Haney. I was going to play the clip for you guys, but I couldn't find it. But Shakur, he said on an interview, the guy was asking him about Jermaine Ortiz and some other fighters that weren't part of the Three Kings. He asked him, who would you have number one on your list? Who would you prefer to fight next out of all of them? And Shakur Stevenson said, Lomachenko. You know, if it was up to me, I would take the Lomachenko fight. Loma looked good in the fight. He didn't look old. He looked like vintage Lomachenko. And I want to get in the ring before he gets old. This is what Shakur Stevenson said. So right now, when it comes to the WBC, there's a lot of disarray, a whole lot of confusion, of course, because originally Shakur Stevenson was supposed to be the number one contender after Lomachenko lost. But the WBC, they decided to keep Lomachenko as the number one contender, and now Shakur is the number two contender, which still is confusing when it comes to, is Shakur still the mandatory or not? These are questions we really don't know and needs to be answered. But what is clear is now Shakur is ranked number two and Lomachenko is ranked number one. That means that should be the most logical fight to make next, to fight for a vacant title. And this would be a tremendous fight. A true 50-50 fight. And it would be a great side-by-side comparison to see how Shakur Stevenson would do against Lomachenko compared to how Devin Haney did. Shakur would be a complete different type of opponent for Lomachenko because he's a southpaw just like Lomachenko. And Lomachenko's best two wins of his career were against southpaws, Guillermo Rigondeaux and Gary Russell Jr. But the difference is they were both a lot smaller than Loma, especially Guillermo Rigondeaux. And if Loma didn't have the complexion for the protection, you would have been hearing the media talk about that fight the same way they were talking about the Haney-Lomachenko fight. Oh, you know, he's too big, he's this. They never even brought up size. And when it came to Lomachenko versus Guillermo Rigondeaux, Loma had a much bigger size advantage over Rigo than Haney had over Devin Haney. Remember, Rigo moved up, two weight classes? He moved up 2 weight classes just to fight Lomachenko. And just to show you that he was too small for the weight, right after the fight, he moved all the way back down 2 weight classes. By way of contrast, after Loma suffered his 2 losses at 135, he stayed at the weight class. He didn't move down in weight. Even when Floyd Mayweather moved up to 154 or 152, he came right back down to 147. This just shows you how comfortable Lomachenko is at 135. We always hear people saying, oh man, you should move down to 130. You know, you dominate. It's an easier division. You should move down to 130. And honestly, I don't think Loma can move down to 130. Just because he's not a big lightweight, that doesn't automatically mean he could just move down to a smaller weight class. After all, remember, Floyd Mayweather, he was a very small welterweight, but when he fought Juan Manuel Marquez, he couldn't come all the way down to 140, right? I mean, he only came down, I think, 2 pounds to fight him at a catchweight. So just because someone is smaller at the weight class does not always mean they can just make a smaller weight. With that being said, Lomachenko versus Shakur Stevenson, that would be an excellent fight. It would just be another big, massive fight on top of all of the other ones that we already have this year. But unfortunately, Lomachenko, he probably would not want to take a Shakur Stevenson fight. He probably feels a Shakur Stevenson fight would be even more dangerous than a Devin Haney fight. I hope that's not how he feels, but this is what I suspect. Remember, after all, Lomachenko is the same fighter who vacated his WBC belt, and it was him that contacted the WBC and asked them, basically, what are we going to do about this Devin Haney problem, right? 4 years ago, this is what Lomachenko did. He vacates his title to avoid his mandatory Devin Haney. So my question is, if Lomachenko has already done something like that before, what is he going to do now that he's the #1 contender? What is he going to do when the WBC orders him to fight Shakur Stevenson? Will he accept the fight, or will he call the WBC again and say, hey, Mauricio, what are we going to do about this Shakur Stevenson problem? We'll see soon. That's all I got for now, guys. I'm on to the next one. All right, now check this out, guys. If you're looking to repair eczema scars, burns and bruises, dark spots and blemishes, the fever blisters, diabetic ulcers, this right here is the perfect product for you guys. It's called LO Decay Face and Body Oil. Athletes and top-ranking boxers, they're also using it after training to reduce swelling, inflammation, and to ease the pain. So get yours today. Go to lodecay.com, like them on Facebook, and follow them on Instagram.
My name is Chris, and I'm all the way here from Anchorage, Alaska at Scalp Carolinas, and I'm here for my second treatment of SMP. Well, I was sitting at home one day and going over my Facebook page, and they have different, like advertisements popping up, and I saw one for SMP. And I saw some pictures of some guys, before and after, and I was looking at that, and it caught my attention. So I Googled it. SMP, nothing showed up in my area. So, I did a little more research, and all of a sudden, Scalp Carolinas popped up in the web browser. So I started watching his videos and seeing all the reaction from all the other people. We talked on the phone, we made appointments and everything. I sent him pictures, and he looked at them, and I was like, can you fix this? And, he pretty much said, no problem. My first session, he made me feel extremely comfortable. It was almost like I was talking to family. He started, and during the whole treatment, we talked and, about our families and our life, and, and things that he does and things that I do. And before I know it, the first session was over. When you see someone doing something that they love, as much as I see Enoch Glover love what he does, it shows in his work. I wouldn't point anyone in any other direction but here to North Carolina, Scalp Carolinas, to get this done.
Fellas, I've got some great news for you. If you've lost your hair or have a receding hairline, the time has come when you can finally get your hairline back through a process called scalp micropigmentation. So here's how it works. It's a hair tattoo that replicates the look of your hair follicles when you have fully shaved it down. So to get this hookup, make sure you follow and contact my man Scalp Carolinas on Instagram.